Hello, my name is Megan Varner, and I am a health and wellness coach and physical therapist who works with individuals with POTS and chronic fatigue, helping them rebuild their energy so that they can thrive again in their lives. I'm very passionate about helping this group of individuals, as I myself am one of them. I have been navigating POTS, chronic fatigue, and a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome over the last decade plus myself, and I'm happy to say that step by step I learned how to thrive again in my life and continue doing what I love to do, helping others. So the topic for this video is the top 5 things I wish I'd known about POTS. This topic is something that is very close to my heart, as I kind of keep a running tally of things that either I've experienced time and time again, reminding me of things I wish I had known, or things that I hear from clients saying, man, I wish I had known that X number of years ago. I do want to point out that this video is for informational purposes only, and it is not to take the place of medical advice. Please check with your care team before implementing any of the suggestions that I provide. If you're interested in working with me, I'll be sharing some information towards the end of the video. For many years, I would say, why can't I figure out why I'm so tired? Why I ache all of the time in my neck and my shoulders? Why I can't exercise? Why I'm tired and can't get back to the level I want to with working again? And if I had known these top 5 things that I'm going to share in this video, I'm pretty sure I would have figured out how to get back to thriving sooner. So that is my hope, to give you some ideas and some directions to potentially explore. The very first thing is it's about more than salt. What do I mean about that? Well, for those of us with POTS, we may have heard from either our medical providers or looking up on things online to increase our salt intake. Sodium helps our body hold on to fluid, so it can boost our blood volume. And for about 73%, let's say 75%, from what I have read, of individuals with POTS have low blood volume that may be contributing to their symptoms, sometimes referred to as hypovolemic POTS. Personally, I fall in that category. So drinking more water and increasing your salt intake, the ranges go anywhere from 3 grams all the way up to 12 grams, but it's very important to check with your care team as to what amount you're going to intake to help you hold on to that water and boost your blood volume so that your symptoms are a little bit better. However, salt is not the only electrolyte to really think about. There are other important electrolytes, including magnesium and potassium and calcium, and then you could even say phosphorus. These are all important for other processes in the body. Sodium's important. However, if we have a high intake of sodium, our body can get imbalanced with our electrolytes. Notably, it can start dumping calcium, believe it or not. And calcium is important for muscle function and bone health and other processes in the body. So considering increasing our amount of calcium, talking about supplements with our care team can be helpful in that regards. Potassium is also helpful for regulating our heart rate and fluid balance in the body too. And that's one that I have definitely noticed an improvement when I find either electrolyte mixes or natural food sources that have potassium in them, like squashes or bananas, or coconut water is my current favorite, can actually help you feel better versus pushing just sodium. Magnesium is one that is helpful for regulating fluid balance, but also for the nervous system itself. There's some information out there that it can actually help with sleep and with relaxation, with muscle tension, and even with overnight recovery seen in heart rate variability, which I have talked about on some of my other videos. So keep that in mind, not all about the salt. The second piece is keeping your blood sugar stable. This is easier said than done, as many individuals with POTS, again, I fall in this category, in the past or presently may have difficulty taking in enough food, as changes in our autonomic nervous system that happen with POTS can affect the function of our gut, making eating not so pleasant. So eating the balance of nutrients that our body needs at the times that we need it can be a bit challenging. But it's really helpful to work with someone like a coach, such as myself, a dietitian, a nutritionist, or even talking with your primary care doctor about what content of your meals can help keep your blood sugar stable. Protein in this respect is king. Very oftentimes, protein gets thrown off to the side as we focus on salty snacks like pretzels, ramen, different soups. Getting a sufficient amount of protein can be super helpful. It seems like a trend from those I've worked with that the typical recommendation of 20 grams or more per meal is very helpful for those with POTS, and getting around 5 to 10 grams per snack during the day, and spacing your meals out so you're eating something maybe every 3-4 hours. Some people can go a little bit longer. That really helps reduce the hills and valleys that can happen when our blood sugar goes too low. As when our blood sugar goes too low, that's actually a signal of threat in the body and can send us into more of that fight, flight, sympathetic state. Our heart rate can go up and we can actually become more symptomatic. I did not realize that many years and sat there snacking on rice Chex because that's all that my stomach could tolerate, and it had a pretty good sodium content. So I wish someone had told me to really look at the content of what I was eating and try to get in more protein, whether that be in a liquid form or in other ways that are easy to digest. On that note, it is helpful to look at your gut function. I've mentioned this in some other videos before, but that can be a piece of why it's hard to break things down. The nervous system is the component, but you may also have changes in levels of stomach acid or digestive enzymes, pancreatic enzymes, your bile production. I list all of those as they're common, it seems like, with clients, as changes that happen in our nervous system affect our gut, and changes that affect our gut affect our nervous system. That brings me to my third top 5. I wish I had learned how to shift the state of my nervous system, because it helps a lot more than taking a nap, believe it or not. For many years, I would struggle to just make it through the day without a nap. During some of my low points, I was sleeping maybe 2 hours in the morning, getting up and doing a little bit and sleeping another 3 hours in the afternoon, and then going back to bed. That has some not so great effects on your sleep-wake cycle and also your body's response to gravity, but it can be offset a bit with time if you train your nervous system how to shift out of a energy draining or a depleting state back into an energy giving or recharging state. My other recent video that I made talked about looking at our energy like a phone battery, and that's where this analogy is coming from. So there's certain things that can really shift us into a draining state, and there's certain things that can help recharge us, like we're plugging ourselves into an electrical socket to recharge our energy battery, and figuring out what particular things those are. Working with someone like a coach or even a counselor or potentially a physician on your team to figure out what particular things drain you and recharge you can be very helpful. Shifting the state of your nervous system can shift you into a state that actually helps you recover better overnight. And this can be reflected in your heart rate trends and your heart rate variability trends. That's kind of a proxy of how well we're shifting into a recovery state. There's different things that can affect it, but waking up and feeling more rested is definitely helpful so you don't feel as exhausted needing a nap during the day. Shifting your nervous system is key. So, my next big point, and is one that sadly I struggled with for quite a while, even with my background as a physical therapist. I practiced for a couple of years when my symptoms of POTS began to manifest and didn't know what was going on, and that was a struggle in and of itself. But even after getting diagnosed with POTS and having to take a step back from my career for a little bit, I was not aware of how important it is to find what I've come to call the sweet spot of exercise with clients. So we have to figure out where our body is physically and where our nervous system is with respect to the state that it is in and how much it can tolerate. For those that are familiar with the polyvagal theory and maybe some references to a window of tolerance of the nervous system, I am using this as just something for comparison, not saying it's the same. But for the body, we have kind of a window of tolerance of the amount of activity that our body is able to tolerate. And depending upon where you are on your journey with POTS, that might be sitting up on the side of the bed and going to the bathroom and coming back, or it may be going for a 1 2 mile walk or doing an exercise routine at a gym. If you push yourself outside of that window of tolerance, you could also call it an energy envelope perhaps, you're either going to get into a very hyper aroused state, fight, flight, sympathetic, high heart rate that can drain you over time, or you may shift down into a hypoarousal state where you're just exhausted on the sofa for days after a workout. That is where I found myself quite often after I did any amount of exercise, because I was trying to do the typical let's do 15, let's do 30 minutes, and follow some of the protocols that were out there for POTS that I was being guided towards doing. Now, nothing against the protocols that are out there. They can be helpful for many people, but it's not a one-size-fits-all approach from what I have observed in my journey and working with others with POTS and chronic fatigue as a coach and as a PT. Exercise may push you into more of that sympathetic fight-flight state, which is a natural state when we exercise. You got to find something that fits you and suits your body and understand how to shift yourself out of that energy draining state so that you can start recovering. Those were gold for me once I figured those out, along with the recharging practices to help when I was a little bit beyond my window of tolerance with exercise. And last but not least, this one was actually a multi-year process for myself and something that I do bring up with clients quite often as well, to give yourself grace. If you're new to POTS or if you've had it for many years, it begins to settle in, and there may be some resentment or feelings of shame or anger or frustration that set in, and trying to push those down and ignore them for many years is something that really depleted me and drained me, and I was not aware until a couple of years ago that those were actually shifting me into that depleting, energy draining state, as the emotions that we have do affect the state of our nervous system. That's not to say that it's all in our head, but our mind has a powerful influence on the body, just like the body has a powerful influence on the mind. So finding ways to show yourself grace, show yourself love, self-care, and a lot of those recharging practices to bring yourself into more of a regulated state, both with your mind and with your body, can be super helpful when it comes to learning how to thrive with POTS. So I hope these 5 tips that I wish I'd known to thrive with POTS were helpful for you. I really would like to learn more about which one you found the most helpful or what resonated with you. And if you're interested in learning more about what I do and what it would be like to work with me, I do offer a 45-minute free discovery call for any potentially interested individual. There is a link below this video, or you're also welcome to email me at megan.varner@guidetoresilience.com.